Okay, good morning. So, hopefully the recording will work out this time. Um, Morning. So last week we had a quiz. Um, how did it go? I see kind of okay faces, so it was not that bad. That's good. Um, so just to remind you, you probably saw this, and there's a project due soon. The project is about either creating a painting app like this one or something on your own. If you're doing something on your own, then you need to talk to me or get approval by me before you go ahead and do it, okay? Uh, on your own means like coming up with some sort of free interactions that do something that is kind of like painting but doesn't have to be like painting. The project, just to remind you how it looks like, well, the default project, well, it's kind of just the extension of painting, where you can control like the all kinds of functions here. What you are painting and like how are you painting it? You can kind of cancel the destroy and so on. So today my goal is to kind of get us to this almost to this kind of stage in class, because I'm not sure if you're like you have gotten to that part by yourselves or by following the online lectures. So for that to happen, I need all of you to open Unity right now, okay? So we're gonna open Unity right now, and we're all gonna be. I'm gonna assume everyone has something that looks like this, where you can just paint spheres, okay? So first thing I want to do is remember like last time we had like we could change the painting distance like with like a public float. So this is really far, and we can make it like close like this. Let's make less close. So what I want to do is actually want to make it this painting distance a slider, like a real slider that we can use. So to do that, first of all, I'm gonna go here. There under UI. There's an option called slider. Okay, so what I did is I right-click here on the hierarchy UI, and then I click on slider. Okay, and that will give me a slider. So you can look. It looks kind of a bit super large on the at least on the side of the of this what is this, like the scene view, but that's just by design. Like you can change the slider like as you would think normally you could, like this, or going up or going down. Let's just put it here for a second on the bottom right. So you notice that the slider itself looks different on the scene view and the game view. In the game view it looks kind of normal, but in the scene view it looks kind of a bit too large. But that's just how it is by default in Unity. And we can actually control the size of the slider. So here, if you go, again, under our objects here, slider, we can make it like a bit smaller by changing its width, or a bit larger, and so on. So I'm just going to make it a bit smaller here, maybe not that small. This. Okay. And then I'm going to change it to be here. So right now the slider doesn't do anything. It works, but it doesn't do really anything. Like I can play around with it, but it's still kind of is not doing anything. So what I want to do is I want to add code that kind of uses this, whatever the slider does. Okay, so let's see, slider. Okay, so the way to do it is kind of clicking plus here. If you click on slider, under the inspector here, there's a onValue changed. Now if you click on plus, you can actually drag some sort of game object here and add a code that will control whatever and that is triggered whenever the slider is moved. So to do that, let's go. This is my code right now. It doesn't have anything. The only thing that I have here, that I have this painting distance kind of number, which is basically setting the distance to which I'm painting the spheres. Now I want the slider to change to allow me to control this painting distance. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new function. Let's call this public void change painting distance. Okay, and it will get a float value. And what it will do, it will just set this painting distance to be the value. Okay. So right now this function is there, it exists, but it doesn't really do anything. Okay, this is the function I added. And now I need to actually connect it with the slider. To do that, I actually, let's see, clicking here on the slider again, I need to drag my this script somehow. This script, I need to drag it somehow here. But I cannot do that. I cannot drag scripts because scripts are not game objects. So this thing here, this rubric here expects only works with game objects. So I remember that my script actually, this script, is basically an add-on to this painting manager, which is a game object. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag this guy to that spot here under the slider, and that should kind of connect everything, at least partially. Let's see if I can do that. Okay, now I see I have connected it over here, but I'm not done yet. Now I actually need to tell the slider what function to trigger once I'm moving it. So I have this thing here called no function. So I'm just going to click here on this drop down, and I have my script here called painting. That's the name of the script. This is the file, painting.cs. So that's good. And here I have my function I just defined, change painting distance. So I'm just going to click on that. So this means that now I successfully kind of told the slider which function call it's going to trigger if the slider is moving. So the way to do it is just to test it, see if it actually works. So I'm going to oh, before that, I forgot something. Before that, if you go to the slider here, the slider has some default values, right? So it now kind of moves between 0 and 1. So that doesn't quite work for me because if you remember, let's try the painting. So when I'm painting, if I use like say 1, it's going to be very close, right? So that doesn't really do anything good. So maybe let's make it so the minimum value could be 5 maybe, and the maximum maybe 35. Okay. So bearing those numbers in mind, okay, let's go back to the slider here. And I'm going to change it to move between 5 and 35. So this is kind of important. So this just sets it to not be low. So the slider, when you move it, it's going to move from 5 to 35. So 5 being the leftmost side and 35 being the rightmost side. Okay. Now let's see if this is actually working. Okay. So now, okay, I can paint. And if I'm moving this, you can see as I'm moving the slider, this field changes. That means everything is kind of linked well together. Okay, so that is my first functioning slider. Any questions on this? Okay, so everyone needs a laptop out working on this right now with me. Otherwise, it's going to be a very boring and very quick class, okay? So, how many have this working already? Can you raise your hand, please? How many are stuck? Some are stuck, okay. So let me see, what are we doing? Okay, let me do one more thing, and then I'm gonna kind of walk around and see how everyone is doing. So the one more thing is I built a slider. Okay, but it kind of doesn't say anything right now. It's kind of like without any kind of information of what it does. So I want to add some text here that will tell the user what the slider does. So let's again left click here, UI. So I'm gonna here, I'm not sure if you have this option, but you should. It's called legacy and text. So there's like a UI, there's like a Text Mesh Pro and all of this stuff. I just work with legacy, and I suggest you all do that the same. So UI, legacy, text, okay? And now you kind of can almost barely see it, but there's a text thing here on the left-hand side. So what I'm going to do now, let me kind of move it a little bit. I'm going to make it a bit more visible let's just make it more kind of larger. Not that large, maybe. And let's see, let's just change it here. Change distance, okay? Something like that. Okay, and that's like how you can like add text kind of by your slider. So you can also actually play around with it a bit more. You can let's see, you can change the font, you can make it bold, and so on. Let's add like another text just for fun. Here, like let's just put it all the way up here. Like that. You actually have to manually fiddle with it. Let's call this IT201 week 5. Okay. Okay, and that's how you add kind of text to your app. So let me just walk around the game object here to the slider. Again, this is being recorded, so if you're super lost, I hope this will be later successful, and I can share this recording with you. Okay, next thing I want to go around about is a drop-down menu, okay? So this is getting messy, so let me just change a couple of things here quick. Let's call this distance slider. Let's call this, what is this? This slider, distance slider. I'm just doing kind of housekeeping, just changing the name of the objects. It's not really doing anything functional. Title. Okay. So now let's add a drop-down menu so we can actually change the kind of object we are drawing. So I'm going to go here to UI, a legacy, and drop-down. Okay. And I have this drop down right now. It has option A, B, and C, I guess. But that's not really what I want. I wanted to have an actual names of these primitives that I'm gonna use to draw. Let's just leave it here. So what I want to do is, let me see. I want to draw. Let me remember. I want to draw spheres, cubes, and cylinders, right? Okay, so let's click back here on the drop-down menu. So over here, I want to draw spheres, cube, and cylinder. So I'm just changing the names here of the default options from option A, option B, and option C to sphere, cube, and cylinder. And I'm also going to do just some light aesthetic modification. Let's just change the width here to be a bit smaller. Okay. So that's the drop down. And now I need to actually connect it to the code, otherwise it's not going to do anything. So let's work on that. So the way to do it is, it's a bit more complicated. First of all, we need to so what you need to know is you need to know how this type of UI gadget works. So unlike the slider from before that has like floats, this gadget, this drop down, kind of triggers integers. It just sends like zeros, ones, or twos, depending on the option that's selected. So if, for example, sphere is selected, the sphere is selected, then it's gonna like send 0 to the code. If it's cube, it'll be 1. If it's a cylinder, it's gonna be 2. Let me show you that. So let's actually just write the code down, and you can see. Let's call it public int shape. Okay, that I'm just gonna use for knowing which shape I'm drawing. And then here public void change painting shape int value. And this will be this shape equals value. So I added this function, kind of the same as the change painting distance. I'm just calling it change painting shape. Now to be more clear to you guys that never saw this before, I'm just going to print out this value so you can see what is happening. I'm going to remove that in a second, but I just want you to see. And now, as before, I need to kind of connect this drop down to my code. So it's the same trick as before. I need to click on the plus here. That gives me this kind of on value change. Now I need to kind of drag that manager thing object over here. And now I need to here select that function I just added, which is called change painting shape. So now everything is kind of connected. Remember, we're not doing anything substantial yet. I'm just printing the values I'm getting from this drop down once I change it. So let's play. And if I change this to cube, it'll be 1. If it changes to cylinder, it'll be 2. And if I change it to sphere, it'll be 0. Okay, so you can see, like, I'm just the value that I get once from this UI object, this drop down, is correlated to the order it is of that whatever this label is in. So sphere is always going to be 0, cubes are going to be 1, and cylinder is going to be 2. Any questions, by the way? You're good. Okay. Okay. So now let's kind of connect this to actually change whatever we're drawing. So this should go away. Okay. So let's cancel this print. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to change this. Right now I'm just always painting spheres. So I want to change that to be to work with spheres, cubes, and cylinders depending on this shape value. So let's do a couple of changes. Okay. So I'm going to use a switch statement here. So switch. Have you seen a switch statement before? some point of your life you should have, right? Switch shape. So this is kind of like an if statement. So switch shape. So if it's 0, then I want to do something like this. If it's, and then break. If it's 1, I'm just writing kind of template code right now. I'm not doing anything. I'm going to explain what I'm doing in a second, okay? Case 2 is going to be, and then break. Okay. So what I did is I built a switch statement with 3 options, because we have 3 types of objects we want to draw. We have option 0, option 1, and option 2. And I connected it to this shape public int, okay? So this shape public int kind of decides what I'm drawing. And this shape public int, you're going to be able to change using that drop-down button here. Okay, so let's actually close that. So okay, so if I kind of forgot what's the order. Let me check. So it's gonna be spheres and then cubes and then cylinders. So let's go to here. So it's spheres and then cube and then cylinders. Okay. D. Spheres, cubes, cylinders. And I think this is it. Let me see if this is enough. Let me play this and see. Okay, so this is the spheres. I have the cubes too. And I also have the cylinders. Okay, so it seems like it's working. Cubes, cylinders, and spheres. Okay, so that was the drop down slider. Any questions on that? Okay, so I'm going to do another thing, and then I'm going to kind of try to help you out if you're still stuck at some point. Let's see. Somehow I think my this thing went too down, so I'm going to bring it back up, the distance slider. Like that. Okay, so now you see we saw like two options here. We saw the text kind of just adding text like that, but there's another way to do it. You can also just add like a fake button, and that can also give you kind of a nice way to display text if you want to. So let's show you how that works. If I right click over here, UI, again I'm going to legacy because that works pretty well. Here, button over here, and let me drag that this fake button. Let me drag that like right here maybe. Now like this button, right now it's the default size. It doesn't have any functionality. Let me change it so it is actually a bit prettier. So let's change it to be the same size as this sphere drop-down menu, and let's now change the text here. So you can notice that the button itself has two components. It has the button here, the button game object, and then text inside this button game object. So this text, let's change it to be change shape or shape type. Okay. So what I'm using this button is kind of like as a indicator of what, just to tell the user what this is going to be drawing. It doesn't do anything if I click on it, but it's just there for kind of as a nice touch if the user is confused. So let me kind of just show you how you disable buttons. So if you click on again on this button, you can actually click here, and that will disable it. You can also click here. Oh, this will actually delete it completely. Let's just click on this one. Right, and let's save. Now, like, this button is there just for aesthetics. It doesn't really do anything, so I'm not really connecting it with any function or anything. Okay. With this said, let me do a pass, see how everyone is doing. Let's do a small fix here. I just change it to no. Let me see if this resolves your problem. Yeah, that should resolve the problem. Yeah. Okay, so let's go back. So what I'm hearing is some students have the painting thing not working. Some students are kind of confused and dazzled on where we exactly are. And some students have everything okay. And some just have bugs. Okay, what's not good is the part where you don't have this already working. So this is like, if you don't have this is already working, you have to have something this for your paint project. And if you want to pass the class, the paint project has to work. There's no other way around it, okay? So this is up to you to be on board the train before the train leaves the station, okay? If you have issues, I'm gonna make time a bit more today to help you, but like, this is more on you. There's like nothing very complicated here. It's all just kind of clicks and drags. Okay, so what I need to do, I have 3 more things to do today. Let me just go over that. So let's create a checkbox. If you notice, there's a kind of, it always is like destroyed after some 2 seconds or so. I want to create a kind of a checkbox that will allow me to disable that. So right click here, and then let's click on UI and toggle. Okay, that's what it's called in Unity, just toggle. And I'm going to drag this toggle. Let's just drag it here. Okay, and let's call this timed destroy. Okay, so what is going to happen is if this is on, that means that I'm going to destroy the spheres after some time. If this is off, whatever I'm drawing is going to keep being on. It's not going to get destroyed. So to use this, I have to do the same trick as I did before, okay, with creating the code, and all of that. So let's go to let's do that right now. So this checkbox is unlike like the floats with the slider or the integer with the dropdown, the 0, 1, 2. This just is a boolean that is like either true or false. So let's like just define that. So public bool is timed destroy on. Okay, something. So let's just call this, and let's let's make this true for now. I'm not sure if this matters, but let's just call this true. Is time destroy on, and I'm gonna do the same trick as I'm doing all these functions are doing. So public void change time destroy. Okay, and bool value. It's the same pattern. You can see it's kind of almost boring to this point. This is time destroy on is equal value. Okay, so basically there's almost no thinking happening here. You're all just repeating the same pattern. Now I need to use this somehow in the code. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add like an if statement here. If is time destroyed on, and I'm going to kind of put this in this kind of if statement. So if it's on, then destroy. Otherwise, it's not going to hit this line. Yeah. This is recorded, so I hope everything should be, looks like it's recording well, so everything should be available later on Canvas. Okay, so I'm not done yet. So before I do any checking, let me go to my painting manager. So you can see by default this is on, is time destroy on, and here it's on too. So that's good. So this should be aligned with this. Otherwise, you're going to be out of sync and you're going to get some wacky results. So if this is on, this also should be on. If this checkbox is on, this is also should be on your script. And let's change this to some aesthetical changes and change this to be time destroy. Okay. So let me think. Time destroy. Okay. Now let me see if I need to do anything. Okay, I actually need to add that function I defined right now. So let's click that. Exactly the same op as before. Okay. And now let's try to play this. Okay, so let's click on this and see if that works. Okay, and it's not getting destroyed, so I can just keep painting and so on. And if I bring it back, then it should be destroyed. Okay, good. So except those objects that are not, that I have drawn before when this was like off. Okay. Any questions on this? So right now you can see I really want to have some sort of option to clean kind of all these kind of annoying objects that I have kind of drawn before, but they're not really doing anything. Let's work on that. So let's like add a button for kind of cleaning just cleaning the screen. So same trick as before, right click here, UI, legacy button, drag this button here. Let's just call this, let's just change the text first of all, clean objects, okay? And let's do some more kind of quality of life. Just change the width a little bit. Okay, and maybe change this name. Clean objects button. Okay, so you can notice I'm trying to, it's very easy to add buttons, and the default name of button is button. So pretty quickly, if you have like 5 buttons, you're not going to know what each button does. So that's why it's important to just do a couple of naming here or in there just to kind of keep it a bit more clean. Now, like, I want to connect this button to the code so I can use it to destroy objects that are already painted but are not removed. Now this is a bit tricky. Let's go back to here. So to use this button, I actually need to create a function, right? So let's create that function. Let's call this public void clean all objects. Okay. And okay. So right now I'm not doing anything. Let me explain why is that. So if you go back before, there's this function called destroy. So what I want to do is I want to destroy kind of like the objects here. So just destroy the object. But I need to kind of like use a for loop or a while loop or something to iterate over all the objects. Iterate over all the objects. Okay. All the painted objects. Destroy painted object. Okay, so the way to do it is by using the following trick. So first of all, if you remember, when I'm painting now, you can see objects appearing here on the left-hand side, kind of like they're like not really. They're kind of just they're kind of just out there and they're not really related to anything. So to make my life easier, I want these objects to be associated with an existing object, so I can more easily clean them when I want to. Because right now I just have to loop, or they're kind of just in the hierarchy, they're kind of just higher up and they're just kind of equivalent to all the others. So what I want to do to put this more simply is I want to put them in a box so I can more easily clean all the objects just by going to the box. And the box I'm going to use is I'm just going to use this painting manager as the box for all these objects I'm painting. So formally, like this, I'm not sure if you studied like graphs. Did you study any graphs or things like that? Algorithms, graphs, some point? You should have. So there's like a child-parent relationship in a graph. So that's the trick I want to use. So in Unity, that will be, let's see. Here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to spawn transform parent. I'm going to make the parent going to be this. Okay. So basically this, let me write this down. This makes the empty game object the parent of the newly created object. Okay. And right now I still don't have this delete function, but I can show you something a bit more neat. So when I'm drawing, see, like the spheres are not going to be created over here. They're actually going to be created under this painting manager. So what I did was, this nifty trick allows me basically to use painting manager as a box for all these new objects I'm painting, just by using this line of code. Spawn.transform.parent equals this.transform. So I'm just setting its parent to be the existing empty. Any questions on this line? This is just a quality of life thing that will allow me later on to delete objects more easily. So this basically puts all of these new objects in the box, and the box is just the current empty. You can notice that I'm using this transform. This basically is the way you can control these relationships in Unity with this transform. So transform is scale, rotation, position, but also this kind of parent-child relationship. Okay, so now let's make it so it actually kills all those annoying painted objects. Let's go back to this function. So what I'm going to do, and this is a bit tricky, I apologize. It's called for each. Not sure if you saw this before, but the intuition is pretty clear. So transform child in this transform, and then let me just, this should be here. Destroy child. Okay, so this should work. So what I'm doing with this loop is I'm iterating all the objects that are under this empty, so that everything that's in under this transform. What is this transform? It's basically this painting manager empty. So under all these children, which is going to be all these new painted objects that I'm doing over here, and then what I'm going to do is going to destroy them. So basically delete them. One more thing I need to do is actually drag this script back. So let me do that. So clean objects here, let's click plus. So same trick as before, and this should be here. And here the function that I want to use is what is it called? Clean all objects. Okay. Save. So that was a lot of steps for just cleaning. Let's see if this works actually. So this is this is okay, this works as before. If we cancel this, so these guys are still going to be on because I canceled the time destroy. But if I click clean, then they're deleted. Okay. So the steps we did again to get this to work is step A is this child-parent relationship. We just added one line of code here towards the end of where we're creating the object. Step 2 is this clean all objects kind of this kind of code that iterates over all the children and destroys them. It sounds like horrible, but it just cubes and spheres, so don't worry. Any questions? So I'm going to forgo another pass because I just want to do another slider, and then I can kind of, I know some of you have questions on the projects and other things, so I want to do that. Okay. So we kind of covered here almost all of the possible user interactions you can do in the project. Let me just cover another option. So I think last time we had materials. Let's see if we can just create a material again. Material, and let's just call this rename. Call this red, and let's just set this to be red, and drag this to on. Where's our sphere? Well, it doesn't matter actually. You can drag it to the sphere here, but it doesn't matter. Okay, so let me create sliders now that I can actually control the red, blue, and green levels when you're drawing the spheres. Okay, so let's again do the same trick as before. UI, legacy, slider, slider. Okay, let's put this one here, and let's add like another button. UI, legacy, text, red. Okay. And maybe change this guy to be a little bit less long. Let's make it 60 or so. Okay. So what I'm gonna do now, I can just drag this text to be under slider. And I can just copy paste it like that, and then copy paste it again like that. Okay, so now I have I have three fake sliders that don't really do anything. Let me just change the text here. This is going to be green, and this is going to be blue. And let's maybe drag this slider. Okay, let's call this green. This is red, and this is blue. So I just created three sliders that don't do anything. Let's just control the red kind of with this slider, how much red you have when you're painting. Let's see. To do that, I have to do the same trick again as before. So let's do public float red, public float green, public float blue, red, and blue, and again I have to do this function public float change red. So it's exactly the same trick as before. Float value, this red equals value. Okay. This is a void, sorry. Okay, and now I need to actually connect this. So let me see what I did before. Here. Okay. So if you remember, to access the color of that specific primitive, we're going to use this kind of quirky looking kind of line called spawn get component renderer. We're using this because this is how Unity accesses like the color and the material of an object. So I'm just going to use red here. Okay. So I'm only changing the red. I'm going to leave the blue and the green and blue for you. I forgot, let's see. I forgot, oh, this is not what I want. Yeah, I forgot here to actually connect it. So let's add that. Click manager. Again, things are getting a bit kind of messy here. Painting, change red. Okay. And again, before I go ahead and start, pay attention to the values. So this slider, all of these sliders lie between 0 and 1, which is fine because that's what I need to get it to work correctly. Let's see. So right now it's just painting randomly, and if I increase the red, Okay, so it does look like it's working. So if I have zero red, you can see it's more like blue and green focused. Right now, the green and blue sliders are not really doing anything. I didn't connect them yet. If I tune up the red, it's gonna focus. It's gonna kind of really strongly do red kind of hues in these objects that we're painting. Great, we're done. Any questions? So we have now 15 minutes left. So I know some of you have questions. Script back. So let me do that. Click manager. Again, things are getting a bit kind of messy here. Painting, change red. Okay. And again, before I go ahead and start, pay attention to the values. So this slider, all of these sliders lie between 0 and 1, which is fine because that's what I need to get it to work correctly. Let's see. So right now it's just painting randomly, and if I increase the red, okay, so it does look like it's working. So if I have zero red, you can see it's more like blue and green focused. Right now, the green and blue sliders are not really doing anything. I didn't connect them yet. If I tune up the red, it's gonna focus. It's gonna kind of really strongly do red kind of hues in these objects that we're painting. Great, we're done. Any questions? So we have now 15 minutes left. So I know some of you have questions on the project. Some of you are stuck at some point. So I want to take this time to answer all these questions, okay? So let me first of all just stop the recording.